Our next presenter is Zijlstra from KLM, and he's going to be talking about the similarities between co-creation and football. So, Hans, welcome to the stage.
And when I talk football, I mean the European football. So for the US people here, it's soccer. And I want to stress that my house is Lambda, and I want to get some points for standing up here. Especially because this is, I think, in the entire conference, the only speech given solely by a client side, as most of you call us. We are just companies trying to do our business, serving our customers, airline passengers in our case. Clients for many of you in the industry, but we are actually the companies who need all the answers. And there's a lot of talks about what the industry offers to us, companies like ours. But in the end, it's about the business issues that we need to solve, and we want to include some answers from our passengers, our customers. The answers, the similarities between football and co-creation. Two dimensions. There are many more. It's about teamwork, it's about coaching. It's not about the Germans always winning, at least I hope. But there are more similarities, and I will tell you during this presentation. And I'll start with the first dimension. And I actually wondered, should this slide or should this topic anyhow be in this presentation? We started with our online research community back in 2008. Is that innovation? Maybe not. Maybe it is. I guess so. I'm on the stage here. I have another dimension later on, which is more recent. But I think there is innovation in here. Not only back in 2008, when we were one of the first companies to really dive into online research communities on a continuous basis, in depth, 24/7. With the focus to understand our customers and to co-create with them. Co-creation, I haven't looked it up, but co-creation was not a common word in 2008. Now it's common, now it's standard, but it was very innovative by then. And it also means it still is innovative today, because we have a relationship with some of our community members since that very first day in January 2008. And that yields some challenges that are still new in the market, because I don't know a lot of companies who have this long-lasting relationship with respondents, customers who actually help them solve their marketing problems. I won't go into all the details of how the community works, but it is very important to say that it's an international community, it's online of course, but what's very important is that we have built a relationship with our 500 community members. The community is called In Touch, so our 500 In Touch members, over the course of the years. And we do get a lot of valuable feedback from them when we ask, but as often without asking. The spontaneous information we get from the community members is enormous. It's really a 50-50 balance. It's like in a relationship, because sometimes you ask for feedback, you get it, you like it or not. Just as often, your spouse will just tell you, I don't like this or I do like that. A lot of unsolicited feedback as well. It's like in a relationship. And I have a little movie that explains it far better than I can with my speech.
There has to be a better way of doing business. Business hasn't moved that far from where we started, of buying and selling, supplying and demanding, pushing and pulling. And with each ring in the tree of business growth, it moves further away from consumers. The bigger the business, the less intimate it becomes. The more walls, departments, and structures, the more insulation from real people with real problems, with real families, with real joys, with real pains. And even with social technologies, we still treat consumers as targets, friends, followers, demos, psychos, segments. But business hasn't changed the way it works for or with consumers, and that's a big miss. There's no insight, there's no story, there's no solve. Business has trained its people to make decisions on data, facts, and analysis. As a result, business has developed an intimacy problem. While there are plenty of well-intentioned companies out there, those immersing themselves in the consumer, shopping along with them, spending a day in their homes, these are one-night stands, not relationships. And that's a big difference, because relationships are where the good stuff happens. Relationships bring emotions to facts, empathy to data, intimacy to numbers. Relationships are the underpinning of what is perhaps a better way of doing business. When we get rid of inside out, we know best thinking, and we partner with consumers as equals. Consumer collaboration, where business treats consumers as partners, where business breaks down the walls, departments, and structures, and integrates the consumer into everything, where consumers work together with companies to co-create the future for one another. Imagine if marketing collaborated with consumers instead of researching them at a distance, to elevate the role the consumer plays in the company, from outsider to insider to partner. Imagine if heads of business units were all responsible for knowing the consumer, for having a consumer gut. Business leaders would know their consumers as well as they know their numbers or their products. Their products and how they're marketed would be meaningful. They would matter by design. They would make more money for companies and fit better in people's lives. After all, involving the people you're trying to serve is fairly intuitive, but it's not readily done. It's why consumer collaboration can't be a thing, a project, or a process. It must blend disciplines of science and art to create change, to be woven into the fabric of SOPs, BAUs, and KPIs as a better way of doing business. Working with consumers on equal ground for mutual benefit. Consumer collaboration as a better way of doing business.
Involving and engaging our customers, and I think this fits entirely with many of the elements about co-creation and the future trends and the do's and don'ts that Ben just mentioned a few minutes ago. And what does it bring us? 7 years, not the 7 years itch that you get in some relations, not mine, luckily, but it brings us much more than that. It brings us a lot of insights, a lot of detail and depth. We can really discuss with our community members about our customer commitment statement, really points, commas, phrasing, the very nitty-gritty stuff to do the right phrasing of our customer commitments to make sure that we link and relate to our customers. Or we can have more conceptual discussions about what is efficient check-in actually. What does it mean? How should we organize it? Sometimes quite conceptual, but we are, thanks to the relationship, capable of discussing that with our community members. We ask them to design gates, and sometimes they come up with fully, perfectly designed, very high quality visual graphics. We have very committed and engaged customers. But maybe it was not innovation at all, overall, as I already had my doubts, because the importance of involvement engagement has been mentioned 2,000 years ago. So maybe it was not innovative after all. But I needed a story to explain the first dimension of the similarities with football, soccer. And I'll go to the second dimension now. Any idea already? Somebody, any idea about where I want to go with the similarities? No. One of the things, but not what I was aiming for, so no points, sorry. I'll go on to the second, I'll go on to the second part, second dimension. And that is our Quality Observer program, fully developed within Air France and KLM, internally, as a replacer of our former Mystery Shopper program. Many of you know Mystery Shopper, a lot of you will have applied it, and we had it as well. Because in our service industry, airline industry, service industry, of course the customer experience is key, and we want to measure that precisely. Both on the subjective side, what is the satisfaction, what's the satisfaction resulting from the service experience that we deliver, but also on a more objective in a more objective way, is the service that we delivered according to our specifications and according to our standards. Objective measurements like you would do with Mystery Shopper, and we had that program. The challenge for us was, it's not a grocery store, it's not a call center, it involved actual real tickets. And we asked the mystery shoppers to buy a ticket to take the flight, taking up a seat in a plane which is scarce, and we wanted to sell to commercial passengers for more revenues. So we wanted to save some cost and at the same time expand our scope, and we said, let's use the crowd. We have millions of passengers flying all over the world. Can't we use them to act as our mystery shoppers? And again, I have a little video which will explain to you how it works.
Hello. You've been selected as a quality observer for an Air France or KLM flight. As a quality observer, you observe the quality of the service delivered to you at every point of contact during your journey from your perspective as a customer. But before you start, you need to download the specially designed app. We would also like you to complete a short survey that will make you familiar with the app and how it works. It should not be your intention to make yourself known as a quality observer. Just be yourself as much as possible. So how does it work? During the different stages of your journey, we ask you to answer our short, objective questions. In some cases, you are also able to upload a picture to illustrate your answers. The first part of the Quality Observer program is the check-in and luggage handling. And if you're eligible to visit the lounge, we also value your input for that stage. Before your flight, the last part of your observations take place during the boarding procedure. When you're on the plane, you can focus on the in-flight section. A large part of this section focuses on the crew on board. Another part is about the facilities of the cabin. At any time, if you make a picture, make sure it's about the situation and avoid any personnel and passengers as much as possible. Depending on your type of flight, your next section will be transfer or arrival. When landing at your final Air France or KLM destination, we have a few questions left, mainly about the luggage handling. And to show our appreciation, we may offer you some benefits. Thank you for your observations and for your help improving the quality of Air France and KLM. We hope you had a pleasant journey.
We think it's a very nice and a new concept. And what does it bring us? That's not something I like. I'll be open and transparent with you. One of the questions we asked is about the airline lounge at the airports. Is the bar, is the catering fully stocked? Is it clean? If not, as you have seen in the movie, we ask our passengers to take a picture and to give some proof. And to be honest, it's not always what we want to hear. But it gives impact. One of the key messages given by Ben, at least in my perspective, it is about impact. It's about our business issues and we want to make impact to deliver an answer to that. These pictures, I can tell you, had an impact. This is not how we want to serve you, our customers. I hope you all flew KLM on your way to Amsterdam. This is not how we want to serve the passengers, but if I make this clear to the board and to the responsible managers for the lounge, etc., it has an impact. Luckily, also for the customers, we do see positive impact because the customer engagement here is very much appreciated. First of all, it's just plain fun. A lot of people travel a lot. It's boring, and anything that distracts them from the actual travel, that helps a lot, and they think it's fun. They also think it's helpful. They do see the benefits, and they hope that the service will be improved. And in the end, it's also about exclusivity, because they do feel part, and they are part of an exclusive panel of quality observers. To us, it also brings the worldwide coverage that we hoped for. We have 40,000 registered quality observers at the moment who have done 25,000 observations in 2014, which was the first year we rolled out this program. It brings us a lot of information. We have more than 200 airports around the world covered, including the flights to and from those airports. We have mass data in a very structured and consistent way. Time is running out, so you should have an idea about now. Christine, can we award some points for people who have an idea?
Yes.
Points to be gained.
Points. Yes. Nick.
Sorry?
It's all about engaging the fans.
It's about engagement, definitely, but that's in both cases, but the two examples I give the two different dimensions, so it's not only the engagement. It's definitely part of it, but...
Does he get a point?
It's a point.
What house are you in? Pie? All right.
No?
Anyone else?
My point is you have to play both wide, use the crowd, the width of all the customers that we have to cover our world, and we have to play it deep with in-depth, long-lasting relationship with our customers in an engaging way in order to score and to be successful in solving our business problems. Thank you.
Any question for Hans? Ah, right here.
Carlos speaker, Labda. One of the interesting things that you raise is that you need to have impact on internal management, on leadership. One of the key things I've been sort of taking out of the previous presentation and this one is that there is basically a new type of leadership necessary that understands both the left and right side of the brain, that are in contact with consumers. I prefer to say it's people to people, it's human to human, it's not business to consumer or business to business, right? So I'm challenging you on the thought that you have to impact, whereas leadership should be in an integral part and should already be aware by observing themselves what is happening. I see there a big default in leadership and the actual principles of what you're stating right there. Would you care to comment on that?
Yeah, of course. For sure, we had the same discussions about the need for central measurements versus our local people responsible for the station and for the location, for the airport. Still, they are not in top management and they want to make their bring their message across as well. This tool helps us to bring the message across also to higher management, and it has the power of the pictures, it has the power of the volumes, so it is both addressing the system one or the rational thinking as well as the emotion. If we use the visuals, they have a strong impact together with the volumes. Management is involved, and of course on a local level, the reports are given to a local level as well as to a central level. I have to, as a company researcher, manage all the different stakeholders to have the maximum impact. So it's both. Yeah?
Any other questions? Hans, I did see a couple comments come on Twitter mentioning that the Lambda House could actually gain some points for every upgrade you give to anyone flying on KLM home. I think this is a great opportunity for you to really close the deal for your team. So keep that in mind.
I'll have a look.
Thank you, Hans.